Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, support the show by joining the Nerd On Nation powered by Patreon. Go to nerdon.tv/Patreon and get Nerd On exclusives for as little as $1 a month. Nerd On the Podcast is proud to be powered by Focusrite, Embody, creators of Immerse Gaming, Odyssey, Amazon, and TCG Player. Enjoy the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome. Today's topic...
Darn tootin'.
No.
That was so loud.
But it kind of does actually make me curious, like if you had like a really big cowboy hat and you put it on top, like what it would look like
Stetson.
I'd say, what in tarnation?
What in tarnation?
Oh.
That boy Tommy Gunn over there is good.
I almost went Elden Ring. What in tarnished Asian?
What?
There is a eternal dragon in my boot.
Oh,
Oh no! Oh
boy,
no!
Somebody poisoned the eternal flame.
For all the audio
no.
listeners, I was wearing a cowboy hat over my headphones like an idiot.
One of those
Like an
curved,
idiot.
like rustic ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing today.
Today's topic is something we started to do recently. It's kind of fun. I like it. I wasn't here for the first one, but we call this the movie meetup, and this is the second one that we've done, and it's kind of like a book club, kind of more like a show and tell. I would say, like we come to the table with something that we like a pet rock or something.
I mean, I think to your point, the original version of the show where we would like talk about one movie was our
I was
book
gonna
club.
say when I said the
That was
sentence
actually
that
like the
you
book
put, I
club
was like,
thing.
I mean, not really a book club, but hey, here we are.
I mean, this was like the in the same regard, but like movie meetup just sounds nice.
Yeah.
It like felt like it.
Listen,
it's
alliteration,
really cozy.
baby, it works.
Yeah.
It's a magical movie meetup.
Ooh.
Ah.
But before we get into all the meats, the potatoes, let's introduce the host, and we're gonna start with
Me, because I'm Amy. Hi, guys.
A.
And me, the Azorian one, Anthony Steves.
And I'm Josh.
He is Josh.
And I'm Tom, and I have something to say today, which is that this episode is dedicated to a patron. And what is a patron, you might say? There's someone who's joined the Nerd On Nation at Patreon, at nerdon.tv/Patreon. They help the show. They keep the lights on.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that we are highlighting at least one person that's part of our Nerd On Nation for as little as $1 a month. You could join the Nerd On Nation.
Yep.
And this episode's dedicated to the patron, Cypher.
Cypher!
Blah, 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 blah.
Thank you, Cypher. You get our Nerd On.
I almost
It really does help. And
Almost
your
like we-
patron is seen and felt. Thank you.
We're gonna do the whole episode like like child acting. What is it, Tom? What's it gonna be?
Nope.
I'd prefer not to do that one.
Adam's Family Values Camp, that type of acting right there.
No. Welcome to our table, Sarah Miller.
I'm a little afraid
not
of
doing
what's
it.
happening right now.
We're devolving.
Yeah.
It happens on occasion.
Every time.
Every episode
So-
we devolve.
So what movies are we talking about? Who's on the line to talk about their first movie today?
Well,
1, 2, 3, not it.
there's me. Oh,
Yeah.
are we nose going? Wait, it's me,
Amy.
right?
It's Amy.
It's me? You sure it's me?
Amy.
Do it.
It's not
Amy,
Corey,
go.
it's me. Okay,
Amy,
so
No question.
everybody picked a movie. Everybody shared, and we all got a chance to watch them, except, some of us missed things. But my movie that I picked was from 2022. It was 3,000 Years of Longing. George Miller, Tilda Swinton, Idris Elba. Let us.
Poor ugly man.
So
Must be really so
He was a
hard.
poor man in this
Poor
movie.
guy.
He was desperately poor man. Brief synopsis on this one is that there is a lonely scholar, Tilda Swinton, who loves stories and storytelling. She travels to Istanbul for a conference and
Not
happens.
Constantinople.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. What is
And thank you,
Constantinople?
Steve.
Get the
Thank you
worst.
for mansplaining to Amy. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Nobody's
go.
business but the Turks. Come on.
See, that's why I did it, because she did the thing. Thank you.
So she travels to Istanbul
Tom
for a
sigh.
symposium to talk about stories, and she happens upon a djinn played by Idris Elba, and it devolves into this wonderful, wonderful building story, literally, of of longing and desire and love, and all that Idris Elba wants is somebody to have and give, do the three wishes so that he can go off and be his happy self. The reason I love this dang thing is because the color in this, like originally, George Miller, yes, I have seen Mad Max Fury Road. But
I've seen Happy Feet.
False.
I have. Which one?
Oh, yeah, that's him. That's right.
I don't know. The one he did.
What? There's more than one Happy Feet. Ooh,
the first one.
There's opera. There's the opera penguin. Okay. Anyway, the color in this, the palette was absolutely breathtaking. I have always been a sucker when it comes to fairy tale movies. Like, I will seek out the weird, the slightly awkward. There's a literal TV adaptation of 1001 Arabian Nights with John Leguizamo as the genie. Like, I've seen it all. And this was such a dynamic take with him. I seen it. I seen it with my eyes.
I seen it.
This was such a dynamic take and so unexpected for me in such a great space where I could, like, I know Tilda Swinton as a wonderful actress.
Tilda Swinton?
Yes. I talk to her in the mirror every day.
The way that you said that sentence, I was like, Anyway, sorry.
Emphasis. I appreciate that the actors in the room are literally schooling me, so it doesn't make me feel any worse. But I really like watching her body of work and understanding how she performs. And then in contrast to Idris Elba, it is a delight. And I happily watched it more than once because this is my pick. How does other people, how do you feel?
He did direct Happy Feet 2, by the way. He did.
So the one with the opera little penguin that has a 1 and 2.
He did both.
Oh,
okay, cool. Gosh,
I mean, of course, like the color that you mentioned, but the thing that really stood out on second watch, the sound design is just really cool, especially at the beginning. It's not as prevalent going further into the film, but there's a big focus on sound at the beginning, like whether it's one thing that's on screen that's all you hear, or there's a dullness, there's silence. I'm a sucker for silence. The irony of being a sound designer and the tasteful use of silence can hurt you. It's just, I like it. But yeah, I mean, it's a very magical and wonderful movie to see. Just to, like, my eyeballs were just like, whoa. It's good. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
I really enjoyed the kind of storytelling it had. It's a very, like, non-conventional, because the love story happens between Alithia and the Jinn, like, kind of off screen, because it happens within the context that she's learning and understanding this guy. And of course, like, this Jinn, we're personifying him and giving him human emotions outside of the, I guess, lofty, they're just a genie and they're just this mythical folklorish person. But we take these subjective stories, these 3 stories of how they were imprisoned for thousands of years, in these very humanistic tragedies that happened to him. And it's cool because, like, I think there is this interesting work of fiction that happens that the writer and director are both playing with, like, the concept of storytelling and how storytellers can fall in love with stories in that regard. And if that story were to come to life, the homunculus of it all is the Jinn, or the simulacrum, or the surrogate of it is the Jinn, and it's able to love us back. And I liked the small levels of, like, fleshing out the world of, like, the bottles, how they work, how they're created. But also, I really liked when they got to the city. Also, spoilerific for everything.
Absolutely.
And I was trying to be nice, but go for it.
Yeah, I liked how he explains, like, he's plasma. and how that all affects differently, like being a plasma versus us being carbon-based, water-based forms, is different. We're affected by things differently, and that ends up ultimately being a reason why he can't physically stay where she's at. But there is this kind of like, again, a very ancient storied thing of like muses who often come and go as well, and how he visits her, but like there's this like forever long love that they have for each other. Like it's cute, it's storybook, it's romantic at the same time, and it's also like, you know, dreams of being happy and how quickly they're taken away from us. But then there is like these like moralistic, like what did we learn from those stories? And each one that he says at first are kind of these like cautionary tales of be careful what you wish for, and it plays on that same, you know, folklorish thing of like a djinn is a trickster, and they're gonna, oh, I wish to be made out of money, and then like they turn into inanimate objects of money, and they lose their life, versus like he only wishes to fulfill the desires of the wish holder, ideally, hopefully, then they would wish for his freedom. It's good. I really liked it, and I felt like it was a cool, interesting kind of bastion of modern storytelling of a time and culture and folklore that's not well preserved in America storytelling in that regard.
Also, like it one thing that stood out for me, like mentioning like the storytelling, is it's kind of a study in what if, and we don't often get to hear the stories of the jinn. Like we hear what happens to the person, that it's usually the wish. It's usually what we see as the movie. You know, it's what happens to the person making the wishes, but getting to see the, I'll put in giant air quotes, the life story of a jinn, somebody who is not, like time doesn't exist for them. Like nobody's ever thought about like what does that look like?
Yeah.
And like, it's interesting to think about like the idea of like, I'm always like jokingly saying like time is a construct, but it is. I mean, it is a construct. And when you think like at one of his being lost was 2,500 years, and you're like,
yeah,
and he doesn't sleep, and you're like, huh, huh, like,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, and then he struggles also like within the second story where he's invisible. And literally he's wandering around and nobody can see him. And his whole goal is to lure somebody to find his bottle so that he can just make the wish, release him. And you're caught in this great juxtaposition of like the echoing loneliness of being trapped for thousands of years, to watch people be born and grow and thrive and then die, and nobody, the person that you were attached to, no longer exists. And by as in all way, shape, and form, so you don't either. And so like you're living this half life. And there's a section in that second story where we talk about the king who actually had the storyteller, and it became his best friend. And he's like, I would sit there and it would make me forget. And it was partaking in that storytelling moment, which I kind of paralleled to like what we do with movies, and how for a few moments we get caught up with the storyteller, and we become so enraptured that we remove ourselves from our daily humdrum or whatever's going on in the universe to just be enraptured. And I thought it was really sweet and poetic. Steve,
yeah.
So this is the first time I've gone to these movies like not watching the trailers. Like the only one I had seen was Rebel Ridge, because that was all over the place.
Nah.
On that. No, yeah, that one. So the overall filming and color of this is beautiful, and the way the scenes are cut out. The first thing I thought of was Everything Everywhere All at Once. The way it's shot, the way the colors to it, the way it comes out, and even when you look at the poster, it has the same like wrap around the edges that they came out the same year, so it has the same vibe to it. Idris Elba is just entertaining in pretty much everything I've seen him in.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. Even his brief moment in American Gangster with Denzel, the brief moments he has in that movie, he's
too loud.
You gonna shoot me, Frank? No. But it just their charisma together, Tilda and Idris, I was glued to their performances together. And seeing the Jin, I loved the bouncing back to his past stories and us seeing that whole thing and how it's comparing to how he is right now. And it was a joy to watch. I was joyfully. Mm-hmm,
And
Sorry?
also like the idea of like she doesn't. Most people have a wish like right off the top of their head.
Yeah.
They know what they want.
She doesn't. She's more enticed by his life, by what he's gone through,
And she's so
she's a narratologist.
Mhm.
she's so there are people that are just so ingrained in knowledge and just from a standpoint of like education that they're just steeped in that and they don't see like what they actually want.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
His first appearance when he's gigantic in the room, and just the way he's learning everything, like right there on the spot, like he's touching the computer and now he's getting that access. Goes to the TV, asks about Einstein, brings Einstein out of the TV to give to her, and just his whole like, it's not childish, but it's like interested in everything. He knows he's in a different era now, so he's like on the spot learning everything and seeing how these things work, and the whole language change from going to Greek right into English right up. It was just, the story was just, it was a beautiful story. It would be the way it was told. I did not even look up director or anything until the end credits, and like George Miller, holy Mad Max, George Miller. Okay. I'm like, this is, and again, directors have different genres, they film different tastes. It was just so different from what I always think of when
They
I
want to
hear
try
George Miller
something
things.
new. What?
It's weird, right? What's up with these guys?
Babe,
Pig in the City?
Babe, Happy Feet, Mad Max,
Yep.
3,000 Years of Longing.
Yeah, you forget sometimes the different avenues the directors take, and so seeing this, it's like it was just
He's him.
yeah, he's that guy. Yeah, but no, it was
Oh my
it was just a
god.
beautiful movie. It was a
I
beautiful
didn't
movie.
know that
He
did
had Justice
Babe.
League Mortal.
You
he
didn't
did-
know
he
he
had
did
Justice League-
Babe?
Yeah, and
I'm
he had
See?
Justice
so
League Mortal,
happy
where
and broken right now.
See,
he had Wonder Woman beating the crap out of Superman in his movie. I'm
Yep.
like, man. I'm not. Wonder Woman beating the crap out of Superman. I was like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be cool. But
and I mean, and like Josh said, Idris Elba is beautiful, and Tilda is fantastic, and so the two of them together, just they played off each other so well.
real quick, because yes, he is beautiful, but Sheba is beauty. I thought that was such a dope line. It's like,
Right?
you say she's beautiful. She is not. She is beauty
She's
itself.
beauty
So-
itself. Yep.
He did the Witches of Eastwick.
Mhm.
Oh my
And
God.
see, that's a great line delivered by a great talent, and it's butter the entire time.
His voice is butter.
It is.
You're
It
just
is.
like-
Even in rock and roller, he's butter.
And well, I mean, and just to talk, jump on top of
Yeah.
Amy's comments of like,
You go shoot me, Frank?
watching these two actors portray. It's in you have to kind of imagine like how cool it would have been for them. It's like your character is so involved in the love of stories, and this other character is you are like completely out of the minds of like what normal people understand, but you are a story in itself. And there's this again, it's this cool like chance for these people to embody these very like interestingly diametrically different roles, but that roles that are almost like fated to fall in love, right? So like I think it played a lot in the performance of Idris for sure to like become that like, oh, you for sure would fall in love with me, and then understanding like why Alithia would fall in love with this Jin in quote unquote short time, but in that story it was out of time.
I think you hit the nail on the head. So who's next?
Who was next?
Wait, I
Didn't have
just
Steve?
we knew Amy was first. That's all we knew.
It's a Steve's, and then
It's
it's
me.
Josh.
Oh, we
and
can
then
go. That's fine. Okay.
There it is. Number
it's
3.
Steph's.
Well,
Nice.
come on back with me to the late '90s with my pick. Not well, yeah, but no, not well, yeah, but, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
Shania Twain's there.
That's true.
It's the way you love me.
Faith Hill. Faith Hill.
Oh,
Josh.
sorry.
is that the
Ugh.
Kiss one?
Yeah. The song I was tired of.
Sorry, what's the movie?
The movie is from 1998, Practical Magic, starring Nicole Kidman and, excuse me, go in order, Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman.
Mhm.
The girl
Uh,
from Bird Box?
That one, Speed.
Net.
The
I'm
Net.
sorry, Gen Z. You're gonna get the clown in on the fact that you guys know Sandra Bullock from Bird Box irritates
Miss
the shit out of me.
Congeniality.
Demolition
They don't know Mr.
Man.
Geniality. They don't know the net. They don't know Chain Reaction.
I mean,
they don't know
Demolition
this.
Man.
They don't know
You know
Speed.
Sean Astin from Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
That's
50,
it.
50 what?
Only that. Anyway,
Wasn't
here's the synopsis for Practical Magic, based on the novel by Alice
Alice
Hoffman.
Hoffman.
Two witch sisters raised by their eccentric aunts in a small town face close-minded prejudice and a curse which threatens to prevent them ever finding lasting love.
That's my love.
Hey, Dom's a witch. Listen.
Warlock.
Warlock. Bruja. Bruju.
Whatever it is, I didn't ask for this.
Actually, I thought about pointing out, besides Alice Hoffman writing the novel, Akiva Goldsman wrote the screenplay with Robin Swickard. Akiva is one of those guys where he does really good and gets an Oscar for writing and then writes Batman and Robin. Anyway.
Which is
Hey,
really
hey,
good.
He's having fun.
What are you trying to say?
He's having
Rubber
fun.
nips and
How
rubber lips.
Dare
baby.
you, sir?
Everybody chill.
I used to meet you.
You don't like the laundry scene? What's wrong with you?
That's Batman Forever, sir.
Oh,
Hey,
Jesus, I am just so wrong tonight.
hey, my
Sorry, Uncle
governor. Hey, my governor is
Uncle
an
Alfred.
American before he's a Republican.
That was his line. That's what he said.
Schwarzenegger.
First, after that tangent, the entire cast, we have Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman as Sally, and Gillian Owens. We have Stockard Channing as Aunt Frances,
Shout out.
Diane
Mhm.
Wiest as Aunt Jet.
Mm-hmm.
From ER fame, he was known as Kovac in ER. Goran Viznik as Jimmy, and Aidan Quinn, known mostly what I think of him as Legend of the Fall with Brad Pitt. He plays Jimmy, who is investigating a certain thing. So these two sisters, the first 20 minutes.
The investigator's Jimmy? I didn't think that was right. I thought Jimmy was the bad guy.
My bad. My eyes went the wrong direction. Jimmy is the bad guy. Gary. Sorry. Gary is
Thank
Aidan
you.
Quinn. Thank you. Also, Evan Rachel Wood, a very young
Very
Very
small.
tiny.
Yeah, that weirded me
tiny.
out.
Mm-hmm. I know. Anyway,
She barely has her like features. You know, when somebody's like a child and you're like, oh, you don't look like you, and then like a couple years later they start looking like them, and you're like,
that. Yep.
I mean, to be fair, in complete contrast, playing younger Sally Owens, Camila Bell, has
Yes.
all her features, and you're like,
Mhm.
she is so distinctly
Yep.
her.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
So one of my loves about this movie is the fact that it's a witch movie where the witches aren't bad guys. And rarely does that happen in film. The witches are always trying to eat kids or have a farm killed or be preaching to the demons and the devils or a black goat that's hopping around, the witch. Practical Magic was the witch, yeah, that one. Were literally just sisters and these aunts just living
Hanging
their
out.
lives as lovely witches in this beautiful town that I would
tequila.
have some tequila with a great song in a house I'd love to live in. And basically the two sisters grow up. Nicole Kidman's character is the wild one. Sandra Bullock, Sally, her husband that she marries and has kids with, he falls to the curse. He is killed tragically. And Sally is, to herself reserved and sad, still living with her aunts. And her sister ends up having a boyfriend who is very abusive, very bad to her. And the two decide to take vengeance upon him when he's anyway, a curse is put on, but he's not dead. He kind of finds his way
We
back.
don't need the synopsis. I need to know
keep you
why
there.
you picked
Keep you
it.
there.
Why you pick it?
What you love about it.
why you like this?
Wow.
You like why, huh?
Why you like this? Again, finally a witch movie that wasn't where the witches are bad guys. I love the performances of these two characters together. Sandra and Nicole are fantastic in this. The aunts, you already know who they are, so you know they're going to be wonderful.
Mhm.
It also, what I loved so much was that the bond that you're fighting for, the bond we love in this, isn't so much that the girls are fighting love, it's that they are each other's soul sisters. And you see that later on in the film. Yes, that the scene,
In an old house.
the scene when they're trying to help one of them and the other one is laying on her side and they're eye to eye.
Spoilers. It's okay.
I'm just saying.
You said there was no. You said it was fine with spoilers.
Yeah, you could say
Okay.
it.
So Sally gets on her side, eye level with Jillian, and that moment that they share, the bond to help. I love that scene so much. I love it. And this movie is one of those fall films that aren't horror, that they're just kind of spooky but fun. I love to watch it. Melissa, my wife, made me a fan of this movie when I hadn't even watched it before, and it made me. It opened my mind to the sisterhood that is featured
Traveling
in this.
Pants?
So, not that one. This one more.
Divine Secrets of the Yaya?
No, practical magic. Practical magic only.
Yeah.
I hear it's practically magic.
Parade of me.
That's my only qualm, only because I heard that song way too many times when it first came out. I got tired of it. I got tired of that song so bad because my buddy was a
Everybody
DJ.
It
That's
was like
how all
used
we
in
feel about John
so many
Cena.
movies.
Okay?
Everything. But it fits this movie. It was made for this movie, but overall, it's a great film.
No notes on that sound cue. Perfect. That whole scene, cinema. I was just like,
Your stories, your Instagram stories, the way you're describing, like I was smiling watching you love the way the shot was done, the way the color was.
So I'm gonna go on a little soapbox. Oh yeah, they just don't make it this way no more. Like there is so much like bad faith and just like it's I harken back a lot to like a lot of the like I think Nerd Writer video essay about Wonder Woman or Rocky and like why movies aren't the way they are no more is because the audience thinks they're smarter than the movies and they listen too much to critics and they all want to be wannabe corporate assholes who are like checking the boxes of does this move the story, does like this character develop, why is this scene here, it's too bloated. It's like shut up, you don't know how to tell a story, you don't know how to feel and live in the moment. And that's why all your scenes feel very stale and played out, and that's why you have boring shot like choices. But this one here is like fucking sweeps around a character just so that they can like look the other way. It's like such this like beauty, it's that like kind of weird Disney you can feel the magic in the wind kind of feeling. And that happens so much in this movie where it's like yes, you could say it's campy, it's corny, whatever, but it's like it's authentic. It's at least coming from a place that doesn't feel like we have to like make fun of ourselves to feel like, yeah, we get it, we're stupid. It's just like, no, man, it's just a movie and I'm here for it. And like to Steve's point, like you can't put this on. Yes, death happens and women premarital, relations and whatever. And death and tragedy and kind of drug use and drunken behavior, whatever. But it's like it's kind of just like a cozy, chill movie they could just like put on. And I'm like, man, this is like, I don't know how you feel bad watching this movie.
Yeah.
You can't. I think that's part of like you hit the nail on the head. I think it's part of some of the trivia for Practical Magic, which mind you, I've been an Alice Hoffman fan since I was in like high school. So reading this
I
was
never even heard of her.
I just started reading it. The
which
first
one?
Practical Magic.
The first one, Practical Magic. So this was one of my preferred books. It does have this great sense of camaraderie, but in the trivia, apparently the person that was the composer for the entire thing, and for now it's Alan Silvestri. Like as you know, you'll hear a couple of things. You're like, oh hey buddy, it's good to hear you. Yep. But apparently they had tested it with the original music and it was terrible. Like it was failing, and so they're like, hey, Alan Silvestri, just can you come in? Can you fix this? And it gives this levity to the story that could be so heavy. And like, you're right, we're dealing with death, we're dealing with chaos, we're dealing with loss and finding yourself and being true to yourself and living oppressed under a curse where you can't, like, everyone should die, period. Like you're trapped to be lonely forever. And there is life. There is beauty and things growing organically and naturally in the story and in the way this movie moves. And again, we've got another one that's got great color and there's like some filter. And I know the house isn't real, but I'd love it to be real. Like for crying out.
I want a porch so bad.
Yep. I love Sylvester's themes in this movie. You hear it in the very beginning. You hear the theme to this film is fantastic.
And then we end up like when we finally get towards the end, and the thing that breaks the curse is really the love of these sisters. It is so unexpected, but such a simple answer that you're like, oh, I missed that. I thought it was supposed to be a boy. And I can honestly say that, you plant rosemary by your garden gate, lavender for luck, and fall in love whenever you can.
We do. Also, by the way, you can't have a positive witch film and not have Stevie Nicks in your score in your soundtrack, which there are 2 Stevie Nicks
Exactly.
songs in this
Yes.
album.
Yes. Yes.
Josh,
I mean, it was kind of as a 90s kid, it's like a trip down memory lane. You have 90s Sandra Bullock, which was like, I was like, man, she was my crush. Just awakened me. Just
She set your heart alight.
yeah, exactly.
I felt emotion in Speed when she thought she hit the baby carriage, and the way she thought she hit a baby. I wanted to hug her in that scene. That's the same with your crush. I felt her sadness.
But yeah, I mean, everybody's really, said it. I mean, it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's meant to kind of lift your heart. It's meant to just be a story that, like, things happen and people come together. And I love the I'll just call it kind of the seance scene where all the women of the community are coming in. Shout out to Margot Martindale. She's one of my favorite actresses, and she's very barely known. But it's just it's a fun movie. I mean, it's adorable. I'll just call it that. I mean, it's adorable and it's lighthearted, and you're just like, there are some scenes that I was like, oh damn. Like the ghost scene when he comes out, I'm like,
yeah.
For 1998, that's a good effect. That's pretty cool.
Also, the lift off that bed. Oh, that was some good exorcism pull. I was like, no. No, thank you. Just stay in the bed. Stay in the bed.
I will say I do like since it's based off a book, so it feels that way. It opens up with this like curse of how these women are super not accepted by society, with a little bit of whimsical narration, because it's like, oh, all of them are pretty and the other ones are not. But like at the very end, it all comes together too, when like it comes down to it and we really need your help. The women all came together, right? They were all able to, like, some of them were excited, like, oh my gosh, she came out, which that phrasing in particular is so cool, right? Because it allows it to play into LGBTQ themes of, and I feel like, again, women came together to help each other out. And at the very end, it shows how everyone kind of got everything they wanted, right? It took this, trial, tribulation, all the hardship, but at the very end, all the witches are able to stand on their house and then float down, and they're celebrated for who they are.
I get all verklempt when people like put their differences aside and they see people and they're like, they participate with this person in something that's important to them, and you're like, oh,
preach
friendship.
And they're witches and we like it.
And they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so in. It's stop being a bitch and just listen to what they have to say.
Put her on the top of the phone tree. Stop playing around.
Just shut up and listen to the witches. They know what they're saying.
Ask questions, people. Just ask questions and try to understand, and we'd probably all get along.
Maybe, yeah, that's all.
I don't know about that. What?
Common ground.
Sacred common ground.
And do we want any more before we move on to the next one?
Stevie Nicks. I'll leave it at that. That's it.
I'm a big fan of Fleetwood Mac, so anytime I hear Stevie Nicks, I just like, I'm just like, huh? I'm listening.
Her song Lighthouse came out earlier this year. Fantastic song. The Lighthouse.
One thing I want to make sure I highlight is I also loved the it's 104 minutes, so it's a little bit less than 2 hours, but it still feels like it's kind of jam-packed with a lot of stuff in a good way, where, like, I think Amy was saying, it's like everything kind of just feels very organic, in the sense of like you've established a family line and then also multiple characters who are like important players. I really wanted to highlight the story between the sisters, in the sense of like, I love the 27 dresses, right?
Yeah. With
that,
Catherine
Heigl. But it's I think a tale as old as time, where people who are close to each other grow certain resentments to each other because someone's living a life that is different than the other person, and one person or the other has to kind of fix all the problems of the other person. In the end, they of course love each other, but it causes this rift, right? Where like there's friction of unsaid things of like, I'm always having to take care of you, or I'm always having to worry about you, but you never worry about me. And that's how resentment works, right? Where it's like, it's the poison that they don't taste, that they don't feel. It's the dagger that doesn't stab them. It only hurts you because you're building it on yourself. And they get that moment, and you see it like happening and building. And it's like, it does suck, right? Where like Nicole Kidman's character gets to kind of have the fun, life, where like Sandra Bullock's character is kind of like, I'm staying here and I'm bored because I feel like I'm trying to do the honorable thing, and it all comes to a head. Which, in storytelling is just good because like it tests the relationship. And to Steve's point, that favorite moment, like, we're side by side. This is how it was, and this is how it started. This relationship between these two young girls, and now they're adults, and it's like, it's you and me to the end, Bucky. And but like, it's cool thing where it's like, it's not built on dreams and hopes. It's built on like true like strides of relationships.
Yeah. And especially if you read the books too, like Books of Magic, they are making a sequel. Steve's is very excited, so am I. But Books of Magic, which is actually a prequel, Alice Hoffman has a tradition of kind of writing in that similar style where not only the familial bonds are tested, but literally at the heart of friendship, like, do we really love each other, or we just we're settled, we're stuck with you, so we got to be like, I kind of like you, whatever. And she writes it really well, and the movie translated that in such a tangible way that I'm really excited to see how it translates into the next movie as well. Who is next?
Is it me?
Josh?
Is it me? Is it my turn?
Is it you?
Yeah.
Is it you? Is it Josh? Is it Josh?
Yes, it's me. I'm number 3.
You're number 3?
So the movie that I chose was
Steve's.
pornographic. No, Cashback, from 2006.
Thanks, Tom. That was perfect.
Yes. Yes, Cashback from 2006, the feature film version. Really quick rundown. After a painful breakup, Ben develops insomnia. To kill time, he starts working the late night shift at the local supermarket, where his artistic imagination runs wild, to say the least. This movie, I remember I was working at Hollywood Video when it came out. And of course, when you see the cover, it's you're like, oh, interesting. What's that? And I slept on it for a while. I didn't get it. It was like I didn't watch it. And finally I was like, I'm just gonna watch it. And it became one of my favorite movies of all time. I really enjoyed the storytelling about it. I think I was at a time in my life where it just like it made sense to me. There are some scene transitions that just blow my mind. That I absolutely, it's one of those movies that when I think about movies that
the bed.
Yes. It's one of those movies that I look at where I go, that's the kind of movie I want to make. Like I want to be like it. It's a movie that I forgot that it was an hour and 42 minutes. I watched it so many times when this first came out, and I watched it so many times, and it doesn't feel like an hour and 42 minutes to me. It's so funny. It's so poignant at times. I think this was the first time I showed it to Bonnie because I was watching it again and she watching it with me, and it was just, there were so many laugh out loud moments that you're just like, oh my God, I forgot how funny it is. And Amelia Fox became like my number one crush at that time. She plays Sharon. But yeah. Opening the floor. Discussion.
Oh wait, Josh likes a British movie? Fucking crazy.
Oh my God.
Wait, really?
Also, water is wet.
Weird.
Josh
Next
Josh
on
has
News
such
Tonight.
such a repertoire of like, I think a lot of your favorites come from British. Like,
Don't hate. I'm on that boat too.
Yeah.
Toot.
I
Let's
didn't
go.
hate. Did I hate? I just said that's surprising in a sarcastic way, and I said a lot of movies that Josh, I think, actually has a lot of connection with outside, like probably Big Lebowski, are stories about across the pond. Which is cool. It deepens the lore. You know what I'm saying?
The lore that is Josh.
Yeah, everyone has lore. New lore has dropped. So like I was gonna talk shit about video games,
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
was
not.
waiting for it.
But no, it's interesting. It's an interesting movie because it was apparently a short film first.
Which is included in the feature. Like there's a part of the film that is it's basically just the short film.
And it's funny. After watching all these movies, I definitely looked at the Rotten Tomato scores and all that stuff, and I was just like, God, critics fucking should not have existed. I'm kidding. I love people who are critics who are possibly getting married to hosts here. No, it's a funny movie for me to watch, as I am the chosen one here to be the single man in the group.
Yes.
And watching it, what does that mean? What is this? Okay, fine. The non-spoused person,
yes,
the non-marital, non-partnered person.
Partner. There you go.
You know what I'm saying? This plays into a lot of the kind of lonely man storytelling that I found was probably very there's a lot of movies around that time about that stuff where it was just lamentation of woe is me, when am I going to find love, and love has failed me in that regard. But the cool thing I found that they did with it was they kind of married in this interesting he has aspirations outside of just falling in love. That's not his only thing. And it all kind of culminates at the very end of it all with this kind of it all works out in this way that he didn't imagine it. And I like how it uses the in-story editing of the time stop to show observations of the character and where they're at. And also even with this quote unquote supernatural ability, it doesn't change the fact that life moves past you if you don't react to it or if you don't respond to it. Obviously, I'm a dude, and
yes.
I like some boobies. I like some some boobs in movies. I watched 31 horror movies in October.
So this was a nice levity kind of.
This was levity bringing less.
I mean,
less
there was
gore.
a lot of levity in boobs in the movies that I watched in October.
They were lifted.
Hey-o.
Yeah, sure.
Nice, Amy.
But
yeah.
This girl fucks.
So
yes, she does. Yes, she does.
What I'm saying is I appreciate a boobage, and I don't think there's too much in this. I don't think it's super exploitative in the violent way. I think the movie does a lot to try to convince you that they're I just respect the human form so much, and they show it in the art thing and all that stuff. He is the character obviously is a young college kid, so there is a little bit of there is a boyish level of infatuation with the female form in that regard, and I get it, and I can wax poetically about it, but I'm just it's boobies, man. I get it. You don't have to sell it to me that hard.
You're
but I understand where
on his shoulder going, I get it, man.
I get it, bro.
I get it.
Boobs, man. I get it.
I see you.
But no, I do like that. Interesting. It's a similar story that we've always seen of character in a sad. It's man in a hole, right? Life sucks. I'm gonna get out of the hole. Life is good. And then I'm back in the hole because something bad happened. And then will I get out of it? And he finds a real connection, a real relationship that kind of is more important to him than the art in itself. And then it all kind of is in jeopardy for 10 seconds. And how will he get through it? And then also just a little bit of that I guess meditation on where are we at, a little bit of The Graduate, of where am I going, and I feel the world's moving past me, even though I should be moving in it. But then they play with that in that regard in this movie. But enough about me. Amy or Steve?
Lisa, do you want to talk more boobies, Steve's?
No, we need a break from the boobies. You go, then I'll come back.
But I was going to talk about boobies.
Oh, we're all going to be about boobies.
It's all about movies.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy, talk about movies.
Yeah.
All right. So,
levity.
I love a good British movie. I loved that this was one that originally I had balked at because of the cover. The cover where it's literally It
Boobies?
looks like it's great. Well, it wasn't even like boobies. It's literally like this. It has this weird, not fully voyeur kind of aspect to the cover
Mhm.
that I was like, I don't know what's going on
Why the
here.
fuck
Like,
did
I
Josh
got-
pick this?
Josh,
No,
Weird.
what the
no.
fuck,
So this is
Josh?
this is the
Josh is
thing.
a
I
fucking
trust
perv.
y'all. I trust y'all. I love
I'm
that when
loud
I
about it. Josh is quiet about it.
Yes, you are.
I know who I am.
Like, but I love that when I started it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a British film. Okay, I'm going to be totally fine. Like, because there's something about, first off, there's just a lilt in all of those accents that just makes me happy. And then finding the heart kind of in this film of you're pursuing something, you're good at it, it's what you're passionate about. And then not only does everything happen, you fall in the hole, like Tom said, everything's exploded. And then he gets a very unexpected superpower. And the place that he decides to use it most is at the supermarket where he's working, which the cast of characters there in of itself, I swear we've all worked with people exactly like that. And I'm like, I think I love you guys.
The
This
sausage is
perfect.
so stupid, but it just makes me
So
laugh.
many-
It's so immature, but I'm like, I'd
We want
probably do
sausage?
that.
You
I'd
want sausage?
probably.
And you want sausage? You want? What do you want? What do you want? And then
I mean, to corroborate this point, and I will say it out loud because again, I am of the single. Of course, if you are a single person working at a place where you see the public, you're absolutely checking out everyone because what else are you gonna do? Your job? Get out of here. And yes, and it's like not to accost them, do not harass them, but just be like, that's a hot babe
Up here, yeah.
That's a hot dude. It's like you know that happens, and the stupid conversations that happen because of it, and then the
Shampoo.
stupid like store romance. Yeah, I was gonna say
the shampoo bottle. That and I love that there were so many spots in here where it's like we're being serious, but we're not being serious. But we're being serious, we're not being serious. And then when you finally get to that, and this reminded me of Sex Criminals comic book. Chip Zdarsky, Matt Fraction, they have the power to stop time when they do a particular act. I'll leave it alone. Go to your local comic book store, support them, and find out what I'm talking about. But that time stop ability.
Sweet K.
On Sweet K. It's so wonderful to see. And then when he's like pulling up people's shirts and he has that conversation about how he became infatuated with the female form and that there was beauty in shape and simplicity and structure and design. And like when he stops time and then I'm like, bro, you're like straight up just getting people naked. And then the whole thing is you're thinking, because American brain, you're like, he's going to try something. And he never does.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, it's actually in pursuit.
British mindfulness.
Exactly. I mean, we could talk about British mindfulness in some other locations. It doesn't work. But it's this, it speaks so much to like finding his passion again and supporting it that suddenly turns into this space of not only obsession, but desire. And it was you, wasn't it? Like it was you all along moments that are so captivating. And when we finally get to the gallery, I'm just like, these are all those in-between moments in your day that only someone who's actively watching would ever see. And it's such a sweet and beautiful secret where for anybody else, if it had been done any other way, would have been perceived as like, he's a perv, he has superpowers, why wasn't he just up to no good? Mm-hmm. Like, we already know that's coming. And then to get that resolution and that last sequence in the snow. Like, it's so good. I love
the
reveal. Sure. I love that it's only a few seconds, but when he's like, do you trust me? And then he freezes time and it looks like she's frozen and it's just such a good reveal because you're like on the edge of your seat. Like what's happening? It's beautiful.
Steve's?
It's beautiful.
Boobies?
Yeah, that of course, always.
And boobies. And they were in every shape and size, and everybody was totally copacetic. And apparently, nobody wears bras in Europe, which I figured out from Eurotrip. But that's good.
Also,
it is true.
Also, shout out to 3,000 Years of Longing, Boobies.
I was going to say there are two films.
The Giantess of Pleasures.
Literally the Giantess.
Yeah, two movies with lovely.
We're just going to start calling this the Booby Meetup.
We might as well.
But that's
Oh, anyway.
No. movie book
Please.
movie book
I gotta
buddies.
line
it's
up.
not Booby
I
Book
gotta-
Club.
I got a list. But I love list of movies, Amy. List. How
I can't.
I
can't.
This is what happens. It's his brain. Okay, conversation.
That's what this movie
Deep
does. It
breath.
makes us all really immature. It brings us back to college.
Yes.
19
We were
years
already
old.
immature.
yeah, it's true.
It's true.
I'm a
I'm
sophisticated.
a-
Shut your face.
Thank you, Josh.
Shut your
Jeez.
face. You're lying.
The
All right,
fact
Steve.
that this movie is labeled as a romance comedy or a comedy, but I love that the genres jump in this whole entire film. You get the buddy comedy of the guys working in the store. You get the sad romance where the breakup happens and he's in longing. You get the romance light comedy where he meets was Sharon was her name? The character's name? Sharon? Yes.
Sharon.
It just does such a great job of jumping from different aspects of the story, covering different genres within this one tale. It's not just one thing to me. And I loved the chats between him and his friend Sean, and their bantering each other back and forth, and Sean's failing of
Slap.
taking a woman to the
Too
movie.
funny.
Natalie.
That whole delivery, Natalie, and the whole delivery, the way it's cut in the theater, and his reaction, like when he knows he's failed, he gets slapped, and he's like, "Yeah, well, yeah, happened again." And he's, well,
He's like, next one. We'll try again.
the popcorn bucket. Like, what? that was well cut.
That was so terrible.
And the buddies at the store as well, and fucking Jenkins. Ugh.
Oh, the
One of
boss,
my favorite
yeah.
frames or like is the lineup when he brings them into his office and they line up into
Yes.
this like diagonal
Yes.
line. I'm like, because like a lot of British comedy is visual
Mhm.
too. Like they kept slapstick
Yeah.
almost literally. Like we as a nation moved away from it, which makes me sad, but
Mhm.
they kept
Which is
it.
a mistake.
It's so funny.
It's a very big.
Sit in those chairs there. Oh,
Yeah,
those.
visual comedy is just a dead art, and it's so
On your
funny.
chair.
Respect to Sean, to Ben also wearing a Pele Brazil jersey when it was time to play the soccer game. That was
Mm.
it was nice to see where the other, and in English thought they didn't wear a Beckham or something. They wore Pele. That was nice.
Did anyone care that this kid would end up becoming or was like kicked out of Hogwarts for some reason? And was
He's in
like,
Harry Potter, isn't he? Yeah.
He's
He wasn't kicked out. He just graduated.
No, he was kicked out.
He's graduated. No,
Um,
he's-
Who is he in Harry Potter? He was.
I just saw it. I forgot.
He's the guy who teaches Harry how to play Quidditch.
Son of it's on the
Wood?
top of my head.
Oliver
Yeah,
Wood. Of course, his name is Oliver Wood.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's a keeper. Hey,
Hey,
Harry Potter jokes.
movies. Wait, no.
Those are bludgers. Bludgeons?
That was Bludgers.
I do like also how the random of Sean and Natalie reuniting at the birthday party. Just the whole Natalie, Sean. just
It's
like
been a
they-
while since I've seen you. Like
Yes.
she figured it out. Like
Yeah.
she was like, I already knew what I was going to do.
Exactly.
I knew I only work private parties. It's super expensive. I'm like,
Mhm.
there we go.
Yeah. It was a delight. The movie was a delight because it covered all bases for me, and it was funny and it was heartfelt and characters that you cared about, and you I remember the guy who knows karate. That was my favorite
And he
scene.
only has a yellow belt, which makes me laugh.
My favorite scene. Yes.
Hey,
when
hey, yellow belts. Hey.
he takes off the gi, grab my arm.
Yeah,
Grabs it.
that. Oh my god.
Just a slap.
We paused
So
the movie.
perfect.
We were laughing so hard. It was just so good.
Perfect.
I loved it. I love that scene so much. But then he's horrible as being a goalie, just missing every ball.
Hey, you got
coming.
one.
Well, he's
got
actually
one.
not
You got one.
good.
Not good at all. No.
at martial arts.
And then he
I
takes
will
the sword out of his gi and he tries to put it in his locker.
When he's mopping with his whole stance.
I will say I do really appreciate the like kind of the highlight on adolescence of like not knowing where you're going and how it was like a lot of his listlessness was like tied into like insomnia and like how that really affects us. Like obviously it's not super highlighted, but like they portrayed it in the sense of like when he had direction, when he felt like him and Sarah were in a good place, like he was able to sleep, and when his art was doing well, he was able to sleep. But then like when things go bad, like he doesn't. I just feel like that's I think a lot of movies kind of skip over that nowadays, where it's just like life is bad and like work isn't good and all that stuff, but it's like the things you take at home. And also it's just like at that time and that age, again, like movies, I think we Jamie talking about it with her first movie pick was like, the stories allow us to transport ourselves to those times. And I think to show that in those time frames, I think everyone kind of looks at teen angst with like they look down on it, but it's like, this is a young adult man at this point, but it's like, still kind of young and prepubescent in the grand scheme of things, because you don't know what your next step is, and will you get accepted to whatever school, and will your art be accepted, and will you find true love? Like those are all things that follow us through that point, but they all stem at early ages. And I think this whole movie is kind of like predicated upon like these things that happened to him at an early age, right? And then how they made him a different person. So
yeah,
I like it.
There it is.
Last movie pick.
It's time
For right now, because Corey's not here.
Yeah.
Because Corey's not here. That being said, everyone, I told Amy this because we were talking about I think Practical Magic, and then I said the order at which I watched these movies was insane, because the lineup was this. So I watched the movies in this order: Cashback, Lonely Boy Trying to Find Love. Then it was 3,000 Years of Longing, and it was like story about two people trying to find love. And then Practical Magic, two people who cannot find love because of a curse, and then fucking robots. It was just like so random. And I was like, this is insane. This is the stupidest like
so delightful
grindhouse. But no, it was this cool like exploration of love, right? And love in different stories in different ways, from different perspectives. Like one from a young boy, they're like, oh, I can understand that. And then another one from like this woman who's seen the world, and it's like, oh yeah. And then this Jinn, I'm like, I don't know what the Jinn's like, but I understand like lost and longing. And then all of a sudden two girls, and I'm like, I've never been a woman, so like and they're witches, and then they feel this curse. I'm like, this is interesting. And then like how they're like, I reject love because I don't want to be hurt from it because the curse is too powerful. And then you could make an iPod if you have rusted cans.
No,
like,
you can shine no matter what you're made of.
You have tuna cans.
Why
you
do you
fix
sound
the car.
like Paul Giamatti?
He's in it
because he was invited. I swear. Anyways, that was Corey's movie. He's not here.
Corey's movie so bad.
No,
so we'll have to talk about
too
it
bad
later.
he's out. My movie, which is the best movie of the whole. I'm kidding. No.
Put on the hat.
It was actually the newest movie.
It was.
I picked
came out this year.
Because it came out this year, and there's a lot of buzz about it. But Rebel Widge, movie came out in 2024 on Netflix. Synopsis: a former Marine grapples his way through a web of small-town corruption when an attempt to post bail for his cousin escalates into a violent standoff with the local police chief. Okay, so Aaron Pierre, who I think people who were paying attention to it saw him just like light the internet on fire, because originally this movie, Terry Richmond, the character that Aaron Pierre plays, was going to be portrayed by John Boyega. So it was very interesting. John Boyega like dropped out very last minute. But Dawn Johnson plays the main antagonist, and Anna Sophia Robb, who I'm like, give her flowers. I feel like she's been out of the limelight for such a long time. I'm like, you were this little child, and you were growing, you're becoming big, and then you disappeared when the world needs you most, and the Fire Nation attacked. You disappeared.
When we saw her, we were like, oh, she's Anyway, it's been so long.
It's been so long.
We missed you. The bridge. So it's pretty much these three. David Denman, who's best known as Pam's ex, right?
Ex-fiance in The Office. Yep.
In The Office. Ex-fiance, whatever.
Also in 13 Hours with Mr.
And
John
also the good father, but ultimately doomed father in that dumb movie Brightburn. Emery Cohen as well, who plays just the most punchable guy in the world, as another cop. But anyways, it's a 2 hour and 10 minute long movie. on Netflix. Good time. Written by and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. I picked it because it was the newest one. I think a lot of buzz about it. And then now at this point, again, people who are paying attention saw that Aaron Pierre will be playing Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, in the DCU, which the internet, as the internet does, is split down the middle because of things. I'm not going to talk about it now. That's not this episode. But the movie's great. It triggers you. It makes you feel mad and angry because honestly, Terry is trying to do the right thing, trying to like post bail for his cousin, and he is just implicated in the worst kind of stereotypical profiling ways that we've all heard of on the internet. And this is the guy who you don't mess with, right? This is Steve's favorite part, McMap. When you find out who Terry is and what military background he has. And it all comes down to these non-lethal, high impact action beats and combat sequences that to me, everyone's like, oh my God, he's Jon Stewart. I'm like, bro, he's kind of Batman.
He's Batman, is what he is.
Like, this is Batman shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did the smoke bomb. He like knew how to like just take apart and engage with more than 6 guys on Reddit.
Bones
and
going
probably,
certain
and this and Terry probably knows Spanish.
Yeah. It's La Retta.
So I really liked it, but also just I loved Anna Sophia Robb's role of this like to me, I'm like, oh, she's like, I'm the nice person, and she's like, cool. She's not gonna have any development. She's just a supporting character, and then the hour hits, and then all of a sudden there's like, she's like, I'm involved. I need you to help me out, and then you find out like what she has on the line for her kid and what happened, and then like they pull the Man of the Year on her, and they she fails a drug and you're just like, oh my God. And James Cromwell comes out of nowhere. I'm like, is this a cameo? I feel like
the babe again. There we go.
But Don Johnson also, man, such a great actor because you hate him so good.
Oh, he's so good.
You hate him so good.
I'm gonna jump in because I was excited. This is a movie that once I saw this is the one I saw a trailer for, and I was so excited when it came out. And then I watched it, and like you said, from the very first frame, it's already tense because it already starts with the him being pulled over, and the entire no score, just the entire scenario of these cops harassing him. It's already got that just eerie, the tension is so thick right there. And the vibe of this movie, if I had to compare it, it's First Blood and Walking Tall. It's got that vibe to it. Small town, visitor out of nowhere. I reckon. And it's got
Ladies.
it's got that old school vibe to it with present day social commentary, current event stuff in there. And Aaron Pierre has piercing eyes. The way he looks at you, he's either going to seduce you or murder you on the spot. Just the way he's looking at you.
He's just so
no matter
pretty.
What,
either way,
he's running out of letters.
He's running out of letters. And the way that scene, my favorite, when it's slowly revealed what Terry actually is. And it's like you can see it in his face almost that he knows this guy has no chance. And the way Don Johnson pulls his gun and he just grabs the gun like it's nothing. Let's not do that. I'm like, oh, it's happening. It's happening. So it's such a great buildup. It's such a great face-off. Don Johnson, I mean, ever since he was that asshole in Django Unchained, I'm like, this guy's a great bad guy. Don Johnson, he's been Miami Vice for years and we've liked him, besides being the jerk boyfriend in Tin Cup. But to see him try this new era where he's the bad guy and he's killing it as the villain, and how much deeper this movie goes, because it's not just an action romp. There's like a twist to it that takes you on a thrill, takes you on a ride. And it was joy. I just loved the entire action vibe of it and how it just shouted out to the homage, the 80s, 90s movies and also present day. And yeah, his scene where he's Batman, he's just wrists and elbows are just being, it's beautiful. He's Batman.
Serpico too.
Yeah, Serpico. Yeah,
who's Serpico?
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
Oh. It's a save the cat moment for sure. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm good.
No.
Amy.
Me. So we're going to have a little I would say nah, but let's I'm going to be honest because I believe in transparency. So when we were given this list of things to watch, apparently my brain completely went nah. To
As
this
Aaron
movie.
Pierre says. Yeah.
Yeah, as this beers. And now just listening to it, I am reminded of a quote from one of my favorite books, which is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, and Severo is in it, and he goes,
"What
Shit
have we not nerded about this together?
Talk. Are you serious?
I have said
Yes, Joshua. By the way, I have a Red Rising shirt. Like that's official merch too.
God.
So we can have that talk. But literally, yeah, Severo, shit escalates. And it sounds like literally that's all that happens in this, that it just keeps building and building and building. And then of course, justice, she comes. But also it sounds it sounds like that he's trying to de-escalate the entire time, right? Like this conversation is
he takes
him
bad
just trying
deals just for the sake of peace, and because he's just on a mission. He's just like, I need to save my cousin. I need to post bail. And then when that goes away, it's just like, cool, I'm going to walk away. And then they don't let him walk away. And for the audiences, we're all just like, just
let him walk away.
Them.
but
you're just like, I can't wait for him to destroy them. And then all he does is incapacitate. It's insane.
But see, this is the conversation Josh and I can have where we're talking about, book 3, where Darrow literally is like, listen, I just want to live in peace. It's done. It's over. I've done everything I need in service. And they are like,
nah,
what?
Brah.
Nah. Yeah. So I can relate, but nah, dude. Nah, bro.
Josh?
Yeah, no, this movie is it's a beautiful crescendo. Like I'm a sucker for a scene that is basically you just summarized with, you done fucked up. You have messed with the wrong guy. And when he makes the decision to make life very hard for them, it makes my heart just so happy. I'm a fan of a good comeuppance movie, a good revenge movie. Like I'm like, get it. We all want to see it. You want to do it. Just do it. Get it. And I just, oh man, he fucks some shit up. And I just, in a non-lethal way, which makes me even happier because I'm like, you can really mess a person up.
He's breaking you. He's not killing you, but he's breaking you.
Yeah,
that's the entire point. You leave them to remember.
And I do like that he keeps it. He does try to. I say this in quotes. Keep his cool. He's pissed off, but he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna shake the tree. I'm not gonna disturb the boat. Whatever. I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna get out of town. Everybody's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And then it's not fine. And then he's like,
nah. About Aaron Pierre's eyes, he's enraged right now, but he's trying to remain calm. The face is calm, but the eyes are piercing right through your head because you can feel the anger, but he's trying to de-escalate. But they just
let me say this as a non-black guy. I think that a lot of people who, experience otherness when they watch this movie, and you're seeing the physicality of someone whose nose is like, I know what it's like when people look at me differently, and I know how I need to like change my tone and then cater to their like ways or their
make myself
comforts.
Small so they can be big.
Yeah, and this is like that in itself, and that was another thing where it's like, again, everyone's like, "Oh, he should be Green Lantern." I'm like, I don't know, man. He's kind of Val Zod. He's kind of Superman right now too, and I was like, it's good because in how he plays it, because you can exactly like Steve's like, you can feel it internally of how he has to play so calm because he knows like, yes, he could be outrageous and rightfully so, and that's the thing I think the movie does so well without any exposition. It starts out with this collision, with this clash, and he's immediately put on the back foot because he is the non-aggressor. And so we're already have the buy-in of like, I need to know if this guy's going to get through it. And because he's showing nothing but respect and restraint. And then as the story continues, you're just like, this is the guy who deserved nothing wrong and got everything wronged from him, or wronged it to him. And everyone who's just like kind of laughing at his attempts to do the right thing. And then again, that's why the audience is like, destroy him.
Break them
We're
now.
just like, him and Reacher need to work together and destroy bad, corrupt small towns. But no, I think also just like how the corruption spreads out is insane, and then how deep seated it is. It's great. And there's a part that I really loved is when he gets bad news that his cousin doesn't survive, and he's looking at Denman, and he says like, I told you, and he like yells at me, and he starts immediately crying, and it's just like so good because it's like, it's that when you're so upset that you can't fight but you cry. It's like, oh,
you knew it was going to happened, and yeah. Oh, I've said it before, but the scene when they're trying to find out his background as he's face to face with Don Johnson. But yeah, and there's a Wi-Fi issue in the police department.
Maybe he's a map maker, a map finder.
He's something military, but never saw any action while he's having the conversation.
The underestimation, and the reveal of, oh, we fucked up.
Oh, he's way bigger than we thought he was.
You done messed up, Aaron.
It's the way that scene is presented. I love that build up, that slow build, because
we don't know either. As the audience,
you don't know it.
We're like,
what?
Only because we're like, aware. Oh yeah, probably like, like special forces, probably something like big deal. But when they're like slowly crescendoing towards like, it's even worse than that. He could probably kill you with your own finger. Like,
and it adds to that stare he's given Don as it's cutting back to him looking like, oh, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's so good.
To Amy, since your brain went nah, but we're saying yeah. This is a pretty family friendly movie.
Oh, it's nothing to have an issue with family friendly.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you do want to watch it, you can watch it with the whole family.
There's no boobies in this one.
They no boobies.
And again, it's like pretty clean action.
Yeah, it is.
It's not super gory.
I noticed that after the big scene, I was like, he didn't kill a single one of them.
Yeah, not one.
No, so this is the funny thing is, I don't think we've ever had this conversation, but I don't know if it was the predisposition of people in my family to be like, action movie, small town, hero, right? Like, it's hero comes in, corrupt town, hero, corrects the town and either leaves or stays. What?
The rundown.
The rundown.
Haven't seen it. Keep going.
Go.
Give me more.
Keep going.
No.
Continue going. I don't want to interrupt what you're saying.
Haven't seen Rambo, but know how it goes.
I don't want to stop what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think even of this, where it is that build up, and I know what kind of lies ahead for Aaron, I am willing to take the risk because it is Tom's pick. And when it comes to movie club meetup, you are supposed to make sure that you complete the assignment. So I will try just for Tom.
I just thought of an episode idea. Just like this.
Make up
3 people watch the movie and the 4th person does not. And the other 3 people, their job is to convince the person like, so, I mean, you want to watch it, right? And it's like, they could be like, nah. Or, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, that's not going to be good for us because we're all pretty agreeable people.
And
we're
open-minded.
But you can guilt some people into things. And that's like, when it comes to it, we take each other on the basis of the recommendations because we care about each other and we know we have different perspectives that can feed in and we can see something new. Like, that's the reason for movie club meetup. But when it comes to me, I'm usually very apprehensive to be like, it's like a 90s, super 90s action movie. Like, where are we, like, in the line between Predator Handshake and like where are we?
Not that though.
It's
more,
not
more
cheesy.
More like the small town vibe to it. Not so much we gotta shake hands like this because we're bros for life. Not that part of 80s, 90s action. More of
I mean, honestly, it feels like if Liam Neeson's Taken character, Brian Mills, was doing a Matlock episode.
What?
Interesting.
Because like it's corruption. It's mainly a corruption story
With
right?
action. Yeah. And it takes
But
the
it's
action
like-
isn't right away either.
But it's like this guy that you're not assuming that he has like all these special skills and how he like literally has to figure it all out. And then
Well,
like he makes
maybe I'm just the weirdo that's like, when I meet somebody, I don't make the first assumption because, like, legitimately, if that was the case, I would be in such a different line
Like,
of work.
because I would say it this way, like it just
I
for this
wouldn't be
movie
podcasting.
because you're
Yeah.
asking about it, and it's like it's not bombastic action.
Okay.
It's a lot more just like tense. Like, is he gonna figure this out? Like, how is he like gonna save his cousin? How is he gonna get out of town? Like, are these cops still harassing him? Like, is she gonna be okay, or is she gonna get like in trouble by the cops too?
It's a lot
Everybody
more
gets in trouble by the cops.
close counter hand-to-hand combat and not just bombastic explosions and jumping out of buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a lot of guns blasting and people's limbs flying off. It's just like, oh. Again, that's why it's like that's what I say. It's pretty family friendly. For most action flicks, like, but it's like the action is done so well, like to that very John Wick level. It feels such like a cop out to call it John Wick, but it's really clean and tight, and it feels very like visceral.
Undisputed. Like
No,
with that kind of choreography.
I'd say it's cleaner.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
I'd say it's cleaner. Like like in Undisputed, it's like the editing is a little weird.
Yeah. Well, it just, which one? Are we talking the first one, second one, third one? I don't know.
Anyways,
The intern on a film podcast.
any last things before we move on to the last part of the show?
No,
I
this
really
is
want
fun.
to talk about robots.
No, next time.
Nah,
Also,
Next time.
shout
Not
out because
today.
we've been mentioning it, but we didn't really talk about it. When he said like we could figure this out, we could just walk away, but nah. Like that that trailer sold. Amy, when you're done, watch the trailer. That sold.
I
the
was
movie.
watching half of it before we started, and then I thought Josh had actually like started the recording, so I stopped it.
Oh yeah.
And it literally was like he was finishing on the phone, and I'm just like,
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That sold
My
the movie
phone?
to like millions of people because
yeah.
it's the first time you ever seen like the most tense. It's the Brian Mills is like, I will find you and I will kill. It's like so intense. All of a sudden it comes out with, but I'm like, no. And it's just like, whoa, like it was such this like flavor, fantastic. It's like what we love of like Blade, right? Where it's like it's cool, but it's got style at the same time. And the character has all the style and substance in it.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, moving to the last part of the show. Those were our 4 movies. Our 5th one was supposed to be Robots, which Amy's sad and Corey is sad. I get it. But let us know what you guys thought about those movies. Tell us in the comments. Tell us in our DMs. Whatever you do, just do it on the actual platforms.
not just Discord. We love to talk to you on Discord, but definitely do it on the platform so other people can get engaged, and you can start some friendly, like, discourse.
Oh yeah, it helps us. But we like to do one quick thing before we go and talk about one cool thing that has nothing to do with what we talked about today. One quick cool thing.
One quick cool thing.
Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
Why not?
Well,
Start off
sure.
the top. Sure, whatever, you guys. It's so great. I love this so very much. Okay. One weird, quick, cool thing. So a couple of moons ago, I did tell y'all I started a Court of Thorns and Roses. I did complete
Hey, how's it going?
all the fae. It's not like I've been a reader all my life and suddenly everyone's like, let's get dirty with fairies again. I was like, y'all, we talking 2000s. Yes. And them titties though. So
Thank you for that.
no, thank you. That was peaking things. And no, thank
All
you.
the pussy.
Oh my goodness.
Pudding.
So pudding everywhere. Pudding.
You'll see. Sorry.
I'm never going to get through this. Okay. So basically, I have been on a quest to try to finish this series, and I am cross with it. It is shenanigans. I don't want you to read it. It's not a hidden gem. You want to read a hidden gem? Start up with Pierce Brown's Red Rising. Josh and I know this jam. It is unexpected, delightful. It hooks you and it keeps you going. And also, he's still writing more books. So
I'm
going to leave it.
There's more coming.
There, I know. Josh is so excited.
There's more coming. I'll be honest, I'm on the most recent book. I don't remember why I stopped reading it. There was something happening in my life, but I have been I need to start reading again. I should.
Picking up is nice. It never that universe is very nicely designed. It's got a lot of the things that I like, and very much akin to me picking the movie that I picked for this movie meetup. That book does.
It's such a good series. Anyway,
That's my
since
thing.
I'm talking, I guess I'll continue. You are one cool thing. The listener, you are one cool thing. And I just heart you. Thank you for listening. But my real answer, I've been watching Lost again.
Hey.
I forgot how dark some of the things. Nikki and Paolo being buried alive. Holy! We watched that episode last night, and I was like, it's in the 3rd season, and I'm like, it. Watching Lost now is very interesting because it's kind of like watching The Sixth Sense. Because you know what the quote, the twist is. And so now you're like, okay, what?
I had never seen The Sixth Sense, still haven't, but yeah, people ruined it for me.
Amy.
It's okay. You know what happens then. And then when you watch it, you'll be like, I know what happens.
I'm reacting the way that
Joshua
I
doesn't
am
know.
because The Sixth Sense is the first DVD I ever watched.
Nice.
And it holds a very special place in my heart. Like I love it anyway.
For the new listeners, DVD.
Okay. So
disc.
Yeah. So back in the day, no, Bonnie and I do this. We go. So that's a payphone. That thing right there. That's a payphone.
That's what Maroon 5 was singing about.
They're using cash. So cash
Nickels?
is a no. So cash.
Cash.
They're
Tango?
writing a check. So a check is this thing. No. Anyway.
With a QUE?
Yeah.
Apple Pay.
Apple Pay.
All right.
So
Lost. So yeah, I don't know. I thought about my cousin was watching it, but he was watching it in the show's world chronological. So it's like all out of like, it's like you start with the different episodes and then it's in chronological for the timeline of the show, which is really interesting. But I was like, no, I want to watch it again. So Bonnie and I started watching it again, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like other people should. It's kind of fun. It's almost 20 years old.
Never seen it.
It's okay.
The first season of
Josh
Lost.
doesn't know. Josh doesn't know this. Like Steve's is used to this. Tom is like, I get it.
My
Well, Tom going,
headcanon
okay.
is that you've just have seen so many things, and whenever you say I haven't seen that, a little part of my heart breaks. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
I
I am a heartbreaker by nature, Josh. So you're just catching up to the rest of the world.
Take another little piece of my heart and
Guys,
Yeah.
I have watched over 150 movies this year. There's so much shit to watch.
There is so much
and
shit
you
to
never
watch.
feel like you've watched any more. At a certain point, I was like, I still haven't watched so many movies.
I also go through like ADHD things where I get hyper fixated on something. We had shows that we were watching, and I'm like,
And then you
nah,
just
I
fall
just
off.
want to watch. I want to watch. And no, we want to watch them, but
you never get to it.
Lost. I'm in the mood to just watch John Locke do John Locke things.
See, that's me and Pushing Daisies.
All right. Yeah, I get it.
That's not for me.
Sorry.
Is Steve's?
I finished Stephen King's It,
Brown chicken, brown cow.
the book,
Yeah.
all
Uh-huh.
1,153
I was going to say,
pages.
it's thick.
Mm.
It's thick.
yeah.
That clown.
And-
You think Caroline Christo's thick.
No.
That Pennywise is thick.
That's a thickums.
That and I love that at the end of the book, Stephen King does write that he started it in August of 1981 and finished it in August of 1985. It literally took him 4 years to write the entire book. And the thing is, there's
Those
so
are
much
rookie numbers. You should
Rookie
be
numbers.
taking 40 years.
Mhm.
Fucking George R. R. Martin, come on.
Mhm.
never gonna finish his books.
What
Never,
about the guy that died when he was making the Thief and the Cobbler? What was his name?
except for the Joker and the Thief
I
tonight.
know. Frank Herbert also died before finishing his series.
Same man. Okay.
I was just impressed of how much detail he put into this and how it's all relevant to the story. Like the history of Derry, how Pennywise got there and how long Pennywise has been there. And I'm The turtle. Yeah, the turtle. The turtle. And learning at a later age how a lot of these books are all connected regarding the Dark Tower, the Shining ability, all that in there. And Shan's like you, Doc. Just so good. And I can count on Stephen King books because my sister-in-law now has an easy Christmas present every year, and that's buying me a new Stephen King book. And I think on the list is The Stand, which I found out is 1,300 pages. So
it's a long one.
Thanks, Stephen.
I'm so glad you learned how to read,
Mr. King. Yes,
reading is fundamental.
Have you read his essay on impact?
No.
Read his essay on impact. It's about his accident.
Okay.
It's a really good essay.
Is that what the precursor of Dreamcatcher is?
I don't know.
Misery.
Not sure.
I don't know.
Okay, because I was going to say Dreamcatcher is also based on one of his fears. So
he was struck while he was on one of his walks, and he was struck by a car, and
that's what Misery. I know that's where he got some of the idea for Misery was done from that.
But it's a good essay. I really like it. Anyway,
okay. I'm enjoying my Stephen King readings, and although they take quite a while.
I have if you're doing a Stephen King rec real quick, there is one called Gwendy's Button Box. It's only available, I believe, as an Audible short story. It's really good, but it does that hop through some of the Dark Tower tie into Derry surrounding areas.
Okay.
Get you a little palate cleanser before you jump into something gigante.
Okay, nice.
Lastly, my quick cool thing is my Letterboxd. Everyone should follow me.
My one cool thing.
I watched the movies.
No, my thing is actually kind of funny because at the time of this recording, guys, we are in the autumnal season, and guess what? There's a 10th year anniversary of a specific show I've never heard of called Over the Garden Wall.
Hey,
everyone who's listening, if you guys are listening right now and you don't know what I mean by I've never heard of it, check out our Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. You'll see all of the inside jokes of us being like, have you guys covered Over the Garden Wall? And the many years we have said, yes, we covered it because of you. And we did it for you, and it was a great time. We loved it. But the 10-year anniversary is a short. It's a stop motion animation short of all the characters and how they're just walking through. And it's not Wirt. Is it Wirt? Yeah, Wirt is the older brother. He goes into like an existential crisis talking about where they are and if they really exist in time. It's funny, it's cute, and it's something that just like pays a little bit of like a wink to the audience and fans who still love it and still watch it to this day. You should go check it out. It's on YouTube, Cartoon Network YouTube channel, and it's short and delightful. By the time you're listening to this, it'll probably be just in time for the next autumnal season.
We record these in advance.
We try.
Or if not, just do it anyways because it's fun. But yeah, that's it. That's
40 cool things.
Josh,
I'm sorry.
There isn't.
We just was like blah 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 blah, and this is cool, and this is cool. Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're on the YouTubes, or if you're on Spotify, Spotify does video podcasts now too, so that's cool. Follow us on Spotify.
Follow us on
Spotify.
Spotify.
But yeah, check out our website. Actually, our website has all the things. Check out our YouTube. If the biggest thing, if you really want to really support us,
how?
You can join that Nerd On Nation powered by Patreon. Nerdon.tv/Patreon. And, for less than a cup of coffee, you can help us keep the lights on, the ring lights on, our faces, and the stuff. Oh my God, you actually,
real quick.
That's awesome.
Real quick, we actually have a word from our sponsors. Guess what? It's us. We're the sponsors. We make the shows. We do everything.
You write the songs that make the whole world sing.
Blue Ape.
Yeah.
No, not them. No.
When you become part of the Patreon, you help us, the sponsors who make the show possible, because you guys help make the show possible.
Exactly.
And keep the lights on.
Exactly. We are an independent creation tool,
Podcast.
the thing, group,
Podcast show.
Right.
podcasting. And we do stuff.
stuff.
But yeah, so
Look
the
at that.
Patreon helps. So consider joining. But that's it. That's the show. Thank
That's
you
it.
for listening.
Yeah,
You know the drill. As always, nerd
Nerd
on.
on.
Nerd on.